Hello everyone. What I thought we'd take a little look at today is some of the new features on iOS 7. So let's start straight away with the lock screen here. The very first thing you'll notice when you start up iOS 7 for the very first time is the addition of these little series of dots here. This is the replacement signal meter. So obviously the 5 dots indicates full signal, and then they become hollow dots when the signal is less. Got the word slide to unlock here, so that the traditional little slide button has gone, and you can now slide, if you take a look, at any point on the screen to unlock. So there we go. Down in the bottom corner here you've still got the camera icon, so you can slide up for quick access to the camera as before, which has a couple of extra features now: square photograph or panorama directly by swiping left to right on that little menu right there. Right, from the lock screen, another thing that you can access straight away by sliding up from the bottom of the screen is the new command center or control center, where currently you have access to torch, timer, calculator, camera, and up here you can put it into flight mode, toggle on or off, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. This is obviously your do not disturb mode, and you can put the orientation lock on. This is your brightness slider, which is nice easy access. This is your music control center, and down here you can access AirDrop. From the top of the screen you can scroll down, and this is your new notification center, so it's quite easy to slide in and out. Now the notification drop down has changed a little. So you have up here where it says today, this is an overview of the day, so here's a day and date. It brings in the weather forecast there for your current location, and a little bit sort of Google Now-ish. It's telling me how long it will take for me to drive to Totton, which is where I work. So if I was to click on that there, it actually brings up maps, and it will show the route for me. So let's bring that back down. And underneath that we've got the calendar schedule for today, and underneath there, if there's any appointments for tomorrow, it will show those. So it's quite handy. You will get other information in under here, like stocks information and stuff like that, if you've enabled that feature. Okay, the next tab along we have on the notification center now is all, and this is where you get all of your app notifications, pretty much in the same way as you did before. And then we have missed, which will show things like missed calls, missed texts, that sort of thing. The other thing that you'll notice, here's my desktop icons. When you pull down the notification center, you can still see it's a little bit transparent, so you can see the current icons in behind there. Okay, the last thing to take a look at from the lock screen is the wallpaper. If you take a look at the wallpaper, and it might be difficult to show, but if you see that the background is moving in relation to the clock there, if you take a look as I move, so it adds a sort of another dimension to it, sort of makes it sort of semi-3D-ish. And that wallpaper effect carries through to your main home screen as well. a little bit difficult to tell here. Now, whilst we're taking a look at the wallpaper, if we go into settings up here, and then down to brightness and wallpaper, you'll notice that there's now dynamic wallpaper and stills wallpaper. Dynamic is a bit like the live wallpaper on Android devices. So if I choose that, you'll notice that the colours and that are moving ever so slightly all the time. Now this may in the future lead to a larger selection of dynamic wallpaper. Time will see. Now, something just to take a little quick look at here. When we take a look at the colours of, say, the menus in here and everything, if I changed wallpaper to a different wallpaper, so let's do that now. Let's choose something that's quite light, so let's go for this one here. If I set this just for the home screen at the moment, you'll notice that the backgrounds behind the buttons and everything changes. A lot of the pop-up windows, it will have an effect on there now because that's affected the pop-up window. So when we take a look at the folders as well, let me get rid of this horrible wallpaper. Let's put that back. Right. So I've got a series of folders set up here. Previously you could only get sort of 8 or 9 applications in a folder. But if I bring up, say, this folder here, okay, you can now have more items by scrolling left and right in the folder. It's quite handy. This particular one here is a folder that I use for specific applications, for managing a website. So everything I need for that particular task is in that folder. The App Store has changed. Okay, it's now got a very light colouring, but particularly when you go into updates, it shows you what updates you've previously carried out. So today, for example, I've updated TapperTalk. Yesterday I updated those there. And there's just a little look at some of the other bits in the App Store there. Now, whilst we were just taking a look at the App Store, if we go into settings, we scroll to iTunes and App Store down here and click on it. There's some new settings in under here now. So we've got all your regular stuff, but down here is a section called automatic downloads. And if we take a look, update, so you can now set it by turning this little toggle on to automatically update apps when they come through, and you can choose whether or not you want it to use mobile data. So that can be handy for someone that doesn't want to check in the App Store for app updates all the time. I myself prefer to leave this turned off so that I can check the updates, and if it's an app that's really important to me, then I can make sure that the data has been backed up before the update is done, just in case there's any problems. Whilst we're in the settings app, if we take a look here under Bluetooth to where it says mobile, that may say cellular for some countries, as I've been told before, but if we click on this, now you've got your normal settings in there, but if we carry on scrolling up, what we've got is a series of checkboxes down here as to whether any specific apps are allowed to use your mobile data or not. So there's a whole entire list of everything that's installed on my device, and if I choose, I can say that, say, Weather Pro is not allowed to use mobile data. So by checking that, it will only ever access the internet by Wi-Fi if it's available, otherwise it won't update. Now that could be handy for people that have got capped data plans and they've got an application that tends to constantly connect to the internet. From the settings app again, we've got a new menu here called Control Center, which on clicking defines whether you can access the control center from the lock screen or not. For those of you that use pin locks and things like that, you may wish to turn that off. And again, notification center menu has changed slightly. You can define what can be accessed from the lock screen again, so the notification view and the today view. So if you don't want people being able to see, say, some of your calendar entries from the lock screen, you can turn them off there. Okay, if we go into general settings, there's a new menu in here which is called background app refresh. Okay, as standard at the moment, because obviously none of the apps for iOS 7 are in the App Store yet, only stocks and weather appear there. What this means is that apps can update in the background without actually opening the program. So for example, the weather application is allowed to update itself in the background, so it's constantly got the latest weather for you, whereas previously you had to open weather first before it would update. With this, it's constantly up to date. What that means is, say you've got an RSS reader or news reader, or even third-party mail applications. It means that if you set it to refresh in the background, it will actually update without opening it. Now, for mail applications like, say, Sparrow, the application can update, which at the moment you don't get your mail until you open the Sparrow application. So this is a handy new feature, and obviously you can choose which applications are allowed to do this. So again, if you've got a program that does a lot of background updates, you can turn it off so that it doesn't waste your battery power, and more importantly your mobile data when you're out and about. Okay, now we'll take a quick look at some of the application changes, and we will start with the Mail app. Okay, one of the sort of newest things here is the way that you can interact with the mail. So, for example, if we go into a mail here, rather than having to click the back arrow or however you used to control it before, you can now, to get back to your list of mail, literally swipe to one side. So there's another mail, swipe back, another mail, swipe back. Now, with the previous mail application, to bring up the delete menu, you used to swipe across like that, but that now brings you to your mailboxes. What you do now is you backward swipe, and it brings in these two extra buttons here. One for trash, one says more. If you click more, then you've got the options of reply, forward, flag, mark unread, move to junk, move message. I wasn't sure on this the first day I used it, but I do actually quite like it now. The trouble I've got is I've still got some devices running iOS 6, so I come along here the first time and I start to swipe on here and get the menu, but once everything's on iOS 7, that'll be easy enough to get used to. Okay, something here that I'll just show you, and it'll become more relevant to you in a minute, is if I click the new mail icon down here, you'll notice that the message comes up, but we've got a keyboard that has almost a white background there. Okay, so make note of that. Now, just so that you can see this, if I start up Pocket Informant and I go in there, you'll notice that the keyboard is different background color wise. Part of the reason for the change in the keyboard is that a lot of the menus and pop-ups and everything have a level of transparency to them. One way of demonstrating this is if we go into the new photo apps here, and if you take a look at the top of the screen around the collections, when I scroll the photos, you'll notice that they are sort of showing behind the word collections there. So things that are on your screen are having an effect to the overlays on the screen. If you think about the keyboard as being an overlay, and again the headers and footers here as being an overlay, but they're transparent, so everything's showing behind, so that has an effect on the colour. And that was the same thing with the wallpaper. It has an effect on these folders when they pop up, because it's using the colour from your desktop wallpaper. So it's eye candy really, as opposed to anything else. The Reminders app has changed quite a bit, so what you'll see here, if I come out a little bit, is this is my shopping list, but this is all my other lists. So we've got tasks, scheduled, stronghold, shopping, and they are like sort of floating cards really, a little bit more organised than what was in there before. So if we bring those up, not sure what happens if we go that way. No, they don't rotate, but there we go. So that's the new Reminders app. Again, you'll see that looks quite nice. Notes app, again, the colours have changed quite a little bit. It's all gone to the white now. Again, light colour keyboard there. Calendar app has obviously had a little bit of a refresh, the same with everything else. All looks quite nice. Like that. Safari has changed a little bit as well. Mostly here you get a sort of fan of all your open tabs, which is quite nice. You can close all there. Phone apps had a little bit of an overhaul as well. So there we go, there's that. All quite nice. Nice big call button. Messages application as well. So if we go in here, there's again quite nice little green bubbles, which indicates that the message has been sent using SMS, and then the grey bubble for the reply. If I go in here, you'll notice that blue bubbles again means that it was sent via the the Apple service rather than SMS. So iMessage has taken that. Another thing that's changed ever so slightly is when you press and hold the power button. There you go. You'll notice that the slide to power off now is transparent again. It's a little bit different to the old slider that they had. So your old slider's gone, and you can see that it's slightly transparent with the icons showing through, and you've got a cancel button down at the bottom of the screen. The other sort of major change that's happened is with the weather application. So if we open that up, if I go down there, here is the 3 areas that I've got set. You'll notice that this is just an overview. So in Hampshire it's currently 14 degrees, Plymouth it's 13 degrees. But you'll notice that the background to each of those tiles is animated. So at the moment it's indicating that, you know, it's dry but slightly cloudy outside. Now if I click onto one of those individually, it'll bring up more detail about today. So there's now, we can slide across here. It's quite nice because it gives you a sunset time, so if there's people of you that have outdoor activities, fishing, shooting, something like that, that, you know, like to know when it's going to get dark, that will show you that. And then down here we've got the forecast for the next few days, and again you'll notice that this is animated and changes with the weather conditions outside. So if it's raining, you'll see rain. And swiping left and right here will go through your other cities or countries that you've got set up there. One other thing that confused me a little bit when I was trying to find something that I had installed on the phone and I couldn't remember which folder I put it in. The search facility, you used to scroll over one extra time that way, and it used to bring up a search page for you. That no longer happens. What you do is you draw down on a page and the search box comes up. So if we now type Google, okay, so first of all, applications that have the keywords of Google, and then immediately underneath is all your mail that you've got that has Google in it. Now, I don't know how well you're going to see this, but this is the little clock icon. Take a look at the second hand. Okay, that's the clock icon on the home screen, but you'll notice a little second hand is running in real time there, so that's ever so slightly different. And let's just click on the clock. Okay, you'll notice that there's your world clock, and that's now alarms, stopwatch, timer. So, you know, some of that interface has had a refresh as well. Siri has had a bit of a change as well, so let's just see what that looks like. What's the weather today? Again, you'll see.
Here's the forecast for today.
See the icons from the desktop are showing through everything there. The transparency behind, that's not reflections on the camera, that is the home screen. So there's the forecast today. Do I need an umbrella?
Yes, I think we'll see some rainfall today.
So there we go, that's the new Siri. One thing you'll have to remember is that currently iOS 7 is still in beta, so for those of you that are going to install it at the moment because you've got developer accounts, there are bugs. There always is, that's why it's called a beta, and there'll be various more betas over the coming weeks. And again, some things in iOS 7 where they've had dramatic changes mean that app developers need to update their apps to work perfectly with the new platform. One example, where have I got it? If I come here, I use Groundwire quite a bit, which is just a VoIP application. It obviously uses something to make it work that is not compatible with iOS 7, because when I click the icon, there you go, it just crashes straight away. But in general, most things have worked really well straight away without any problem. Again, some of the things where they've changed the design of menus, for example, need updating by the application manufacturer. So if I take this is Ring It Up. If I say that I want to print this document, this menu here is showing okay, but as you can see, the overlay is there but not quite right. It's a minor issue and things still work. If I click ticket, it will go through and it'll work, but it just doesn't look quite right. Some things currently look a little bit odd. There's an application there, and you'll notice that if I click on it, what you want to do is take a look at the top of the screen as it loads. What sort of happens is that the icon expands out to load your application. So let's just press something that goes full screen. Now it sort of expanded out, which is perfectly fine. If you've got an older iPhone 4 app, so it's using the smaller screen, hasn't been optimized, you'll get before it goes black, you'll get part of the icon showing top and bottom. Again, a minor visual bug, nothing to worry about. It might be cleaned up before final release. As I say, a lot of these things go out to the developers to find these bugs, so you expect to see a few. But I've been using this now for about 2 weeks, and in general everything has worked really well. One other little interesting thing that I found is if we go into settings under iCloud, there's now a new option in here for keychain. Now what I'm assuming is that once you've got the new OS X Mavericks and that can sync the keychain, and it syncs the keychain, it might carry things like passwords across websites and applications and things like that. Not totally sure what the overall functionality of that will be at this stage. If in settings we go all the way down to phone, there's a few things in here that I can't remember being in the last one, but I can't be 100% sure. We've got reply with message, so you can instead of answering the call, you can set up messages that you'll reply with by text. I'll call you later, things like that. And we've also down here got blocked, so you can add phone numbers in there that you don't want to receive calls, messages or FaceTime from, so that's quite handy. Okay, the other thing that I don't 100% remember because I don't use it very often is we now have a FaceTime icon. That brings up a separate FaceTime app, so here's all of the people that have had contact. That's me. So there's the new new FaceTime app. The other thing that's changed significantly is the compass app. If I just find that, so there's compass. If I bring it up, okay, it needs to calibrate it. So we've got this little calibration wheel, and it's saying complete the circle. So to complete the circle, we rotate the phone, and that completes it enough. Now there's your new compass app, and you'll notice this new little crosshair in there, which detects how the phone is tilted. So if I tilt it back and front, you'll notice that little second crosshair moves. So theoretically, when the phone is flat, that will be dead center. So that's how that's changed. So there you go. That was a quick look at iOS 7. I'm sure I've probably missed bits, and I'm sure this probably isn't the best of reviews, but what I've tried to do is show you some of the, or as many of the newer bits that I've found hidden away as possible, just so that you can find them and have a play yourself. Thank you very much.